Hello, welcome to Wisdom Forge Stories. Stay connected with the story until the end. Ask yourself, what happens when you trust the wrong person? We are warned about enemies from the time we are young. We are told to be careful of strangers, to guard our doors, to watch our backs. But no one ever warns us about the ones who come slowly, the ones who ask for small things first and remember your mother's name, the ones who sit beside you long enough that you stop checking whether the gate is still locked, because by the time you think to check, the gate has been open for months, and the well is already dry. This is the story of a merchant named Harish, a careful man, a good man, and the 1 year that cost him everything he had built in the last 30. In a village along a well-traveled trade road, there was a merchant everyone respected. His name was Harish. Not respected because he was wealthy, he was not. Not because he was powerful, but because in a market where everyone bent their words to fit the sale, Harish's word did not bend. He had grown up early. His father died when he was 6 years old. His mother raised him on quiet mornings and careful arithmetic. By the time he was a young man, he ran a small shop, grain, cloth, simple goods. His ledger was written in his own careful hand, every transaction, every name, every amount. It was not just a record book, it was the shape of his life, everything he had built, line by line, year by year. He trusted slowly. He had learned from watching his father's oldest friend take a loan the week before the funeral and never repay it. He had learned from watching men smile wider when they wanted something. So Harish watched, and he guarded. But here is the thing about a man who guards the gate for 30 years. Eventually, he begins to trust his own judgment too much. One day, a stranger arrived in the village on an ordinary morning. Tall, well-spoken, dressed simply but neatly. He spoke the local tongue naturally, not like a visitor learning it, but like someone coming home. He came first to Harish's shop with a small question, a route between villages, the fairest grain prices in the region, ordinary things. He asked carefully, he listened fully, and that mattered more than Harish expected. Most people, when they ask questions, were already thinking about something else. This man was not. He came back the next week, and the week after that. He remembered Harish's mother had been unwell. He asked about her, by name. One afternoon, he left a small remedy on the counter. Nothing costly, just something that had helped his own grandmother, he said. He smiled, then moved on. Harish noticed. He did not trust the man, but he noticed. The stranger began offering advice, small things at first, warnings about dishonest merchants, better times to buy grain before the season turned. Harish tested the advice quietly. It was good, reliable. More than once, it saved him from a poor decision. And slowly, Harish began listening more freely. One afternoon, the stranger asked if Harish could keep a locked box for him, just for 2 weeks. He said he had no one else in the village he trusted. Harish hesitated, then said yes. When the stranger returned, he brought Harish a small gift, nothing valuable, but before leaving, he said something simple. "I knew I could trust you." Harish did not know why those words settled in him the way they did. Perhaps because very few people had ever said them to him directly, or perhaps because loneliness accumulates quietly inside careful men. The requests grew slowly. A larger box, a favor with the village elder, long conversations beside the well after sunset. The stranger helped Harish's mother carry water during her illness, stayed late on difficult evenings without being asked, and little by little, Harish stopped guarding certain doors. One evening, he saw the stranger standing beside the well after dark. The mud near the stones had been freshly disturbed. Something tightened quietly inside him. A small, cold unease. The stranger looked up and smiled. "I came for water after the storm. I didn't want to wake you." Harish nodded, said nothing, and walked back toward the house, telling himself he was being unfair to a man who had earned better than suspicion. Trust is built one stone at a time, and by the time Harish understood what had been built between them, it was already too tall to see across.
One morning, the stranger was simply gone. No farewell, no explanation. His room above the oil merchant's shop was empty. His things were gone. Harish told himself there must be a reason, a family matter, an unexpected journey. He would return. He would explain. 3 days passed. On the 4th morning, Harish went to draw water from the well. The bucket came up cloudy. He stared at it for a moment, then lowered it again. Cloudy still. The next day, the water tasted wrong, bitter, metallic, different from itself. He drew again, and again. The rope scraped deeper against dry stone each time. Then Harish looked down into the well, and in the gray morning light, he finally saw it. Loosened stones, a narrow trench through the clay. The underground channel had been redirected, slowly, quietly, a little at a time, over weeks, over months, until the source itself was gone. Harish stayed there a long time, thinking about the muddy footprints he had ignored, the evenings after dark, the bucket striking stones sooner than usual, and the thought he had refused to finish. Back in the shop, he opened the ledger. 3 pages were missing, cut cleanly from the binding. His grain routes, his buyers, 15 years of trust and trade, gone. And what settled over Harish then was not anger, it was shame, the heavier kind, the shame of realizing he had opened the gate himself. Harish had not been careless. That is the first thing to understand. He had not been foolish. He had been generous. And generosity in a man who has guarded himself for years can look very similar to love. The stranger had not forced his way into Harish's life. He had entered slowly, through favors, conversations, shared meals, quiet concern, one small yes at a time. The stranger understood something Harish did not. The easiest way into a careful man's life is not deception. It is giving him the one thing he has quietly starved for: to be seen, to be trusted, to have someone sit beside him in the dark without needing anything. Until they do. Harish rebuilt the well, slowly, stone by stone, and the first morning clean water returned, he sat beside it in silence. Just sat. There are people who drink from your well. You give that freely. You do not measure water for the thirsty. But there are also people who come searching for the source, for the channel beneath everything else. And you cannot always tell which one stands at your door. But you can choose how far you let them walk. Give freely, but hold your foundation with both hands, because without it, there is no water left to give at all. Generosity is not the same as surrender. Kindness is not the same as an open gate. You can be warm, fully, genuinely warm, and still know which parts of yourself belong only to you. Discernment is not suspicion. It is the quiet wisdom of a man who loves his well enough to protect what feeds it.
If this story made you think differently about trust, leave a like and subscribe to Wisdom Forge Stories, where every story is meant to leave something behind long after it ends.